Hello, Heather Leavitt Martinez here. I am making this recording for calligraphy teachers who are interested in pre-recording lessons, knowing how to record that in Zoom, share that whether it's with guilds, on online repositories, that type of thing. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover how to record a lesson in Zoom, how to do some light editing, and I'll get into a little bit more detailed work of how to do some more editing, not just clipping off the front and the back. I will show you how to do that in different platforms, but then also in iMovie, how to take out sections that will help make your video more succinct to keep your students engaged. And then, of course, you can always check out my other how-to videos of how to upload videos and how to download videos to share those out with clients. So let's get started. So I'm about to change between this camera and my IPVO, but I don't want to tell people that. Pretend like this is a cooking show and know that in post-production, that's where you're going to do the editing of the video, you're going to take all of that out, right? Or if you don't plan on doing any post-production, just don't say anything and be really swift and smooth about it. So what that means is you're going to want to make eye contact with your camera while you're clicking the share screen button and going to advanced, choosing your content from your second camera, and then sharing. Now, of course, what happens when we do that is our camera might show up reversed. So this is something you're going to want to do and test before your session. Hopefully you're working with a tech host so that they can walk you through these types of things. If not, then definitely make a checklist. So now that we are switched to my desk cam and we're going the right orientation, you can begin your demo. A couple of things to keep in mind, however, is that you want to know how big your working area is so that you don't go off the screen. Right? So very important. You don't want a tech host or someone else to wait too long to come off of mute and say, can you please move your paper up? So really get familiar of what area is going to be showing, whether you're zoomed in or zoomed out. You may even create a line of sight or put tape marks right on the edges so that you know where your live area is when you're demonstrating. Now, if you're using visualizer, which can be incredibly effective for detailed. Now, I know some folks don't like visualizer because they may not know how to use it. So I highly recommend that if you are zooming in on your IPVO, if you need to zoom in even further, but if you're zooming in on your IPVO by sharing that second camera or replacing this video with the camera, and you're just not getting the detail that you want, I highly recommend Visualizer because with Visualizer, you will have to manually go in and zoom in and out and remove your, remember to remove your cursor, but you can get a deal of detail in that way. I also have some other tips and tricks to increase the resolution of your video, and I teach that at techhostacademy.com. Now, let's talk about what happens when you get ready to record. So everything I just did, do that before you start the recording. You're also going to want to have your script or an outline either on your computer or somewhere on your desk, and make sure that you have all of your supplies within reach. And if you can, wear a headset. Now, why do I say that? Because if I don't have a headset on, you can come over here, get something. Can you still hear me? Yeah, doesn't really work. So a headset with a microphone, I can go with me, and no one even knows that I left my seat. Well, unless they're watching the camera, right? So wanted to just share that little pro tip. Couple of other things. We talked about making sure you're staying within that screen. Also remember, if your cursor is covering the screen, that cursor is going to stay there, so it might be in the way. Another thing to keep in mind is that while people are in Zoom, they can turn on the closed captions and the live transcript, and they can pretty much put that anywhere. But if you're doing a recording and someone adds closed captions to the recording, which is really needed to make sure that your videos are accessible, a lot of times that closed caption is going to appear at the bottom third of your screen, maybe a little bit lower. So you want to make sure that when you're working at the top half or the top two-thirds of your screen to ensure that you're being seen. What do I mean by that? Well, here, let me show you. So here I've shared my second camera. And if I'm doing a lettering piece, here's my paper, and I'm working up here, that's fine. But if I start getting down here, the words from closed captioning are going to cover that space and people aren't going to be able to see it. Another piece that you're going to want to do is make sure that you start the recording. A couple things to keep in mind, make sure that your audio and your video, all those connections are good. So those little up arrows next to mute, make sure that whatever microphone and speaker you're using are correct. And you're going to go ahead and hit record, and people are going to get a message that says this session is being recorded, and they have to click got it. You might just mention that to them so that they don't leave the session. So you're going to go ahead and click record, and when that comes on, be ready to go. Now, if something happens along the way and you kind of mess up your vocabulary, or there's a long time between switching your cameras, make sure that when you're switching your cameras, you're not saying anything important so that that doesn't get cut out. But also, if you mess up, wait 5 seconds. Why? Because when you go to the post production, you're going to see the audio underneath, and you'll see this little jagged histogram going up and down of when you're speaking. And when there's a pause, that's a great place to go and check and see if you had made a mistake right before that. Then you can go in and do your editing. Very important. Now, but also keep in mind that as calligraphers, we have a lot of pauses, right? We're talking and then we stop talking so that we can letter, and then we talk again. So just beware that some pauses are not mistakes. So you need to go back and watch that a little bit, take some time to do some post production. But when you do that, it makes for a much better quality session. No, you're not trying to take out important information, but you're trying to keep the viewer engaged. I can tell you that when I watch a live recorded session and it's a 2-hour session, I bet I could probably edit it down to an hour and a half and it would be much more compelling. And it saved me time as the viewer as well. So let's go into a couple of different platforms so that you can see how to trim your videos. If you are perfect from beginning to end, and I can say that with pretty good confidence, if you've been teaching online for a while, you could probably do a 5 to 20 to 25-minute session without any mistakes. But when you get into like the half hour, 45 minutes, 2 hours, it is really hard to go that long without mistakes. And so there's a couple of different places where you might just edit the front and end of some of these shorter sessions. You might do it in Zoom, you might do it in YouTube. And to do a little bit more post-production, you're going to use iMovie or Adobe Premiere or something like that to do the video, but I'm going to show you iMovie. But let's get started with Zoom. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to get into your Zoom account, and on the left here, you're going to click recording. And I am going to choose a recording, and this is on the cloud. And this was an event that happened yesterday. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Then I'm going to go ahead and click the shared screen with speaker view. Now I can see it here, and I'm going to choose this little scissor tool that says trim, and I might watch it for a moment. Notice it's starting out there. Right there is where I want to take it to. So I'm going to trim this. See, it was just a few seconds. That might have been too much. Yeah, looks like I'm about to wave. Let's check it. Perfect. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take off the end of that. Looks like I'm showing something. I think I remember that I only need to clip off the last few seconds. So let's hit play. Okay, I'm going to end it. Well, that's kind of a funny face. Let's keep going, see what happens. Okay, I'm ending it on a smile. So I'm going to go ahead and go through here and take it right up to that point. Looks good. And then hit trim. While content is being trimmed, which may take some time, viewers with access to the recording will not be able to view it. That's fine. And so it's going to take a little bit. Let's see what happens here. Looks like it worked right away, probably because I didn't trim very much off. And it says it's currently being trimmed. So you might walk away for a few minutes and then come back to download it. Here is where you can download the video. This is a great time to go ahead and download that. Once you've waited a few minutes, if this little thing goes away, if it doesn't go away, you can always go to the top of your URL and hit return. That will recycle the page, and just keep coming back until it says it's not being trimmed. And then go ahead and click download. That's going to go into your downloads folder. So here is where you can upload it to a repository like Google, Dropbox, or if you're using YouTube or Vimeo, and then sharing out that link. Now, keep in mind that unlisted links are great to be able to share with folks, but you get some analytics. You get to see who has watched it, how many times it's been watched, and maybe how long they've watched, but you don't know who is watching. So just a pro tip, I highly recommend that if you intend on continuing to teach classes and you want your classes to live long after you do, create your own platform where people need to sign in. That way you know who's watching the videos and who's a part of your community. That's also going to help you grow your audience, and it's just really great return on investment. All right, so now let's go into YouTube and see how to trim there. Once you're inside of your YouTube account, you're going to go to YouTube Studio. And from here, you're going to go to Content. Then you're going to choose something that you've done. I like to do this with my live sessions. So this is not the same video we were just watching. It was a extra video that I created. But to the left here is where you can make some edits to the piece. And if you go to Editor, you can choose Trim and Cut. And what I like to do, see if it'll go back. Nope, because I've already trimmed it. What I like to do is sometimes there's a little bit of space here in the front where you weren't talking. That's great to click and drag it. And then there might be some space after where you were talking. Now, I want to show you another pro tip. So a lot of times when I'm going live, and a visual cue for me to be able to see. Hold on a second, I'm just going to turn that off. In order for me to know that I'm at the very end of my video, of course, here I'm showing my screen, but if it's showing my face, I like to wave, and that's when I know I'm done. So I don't have to look for any sound that might be gone. I'm looking visually to wave. So again, all you have to do is move that to wherever you want to trim it. I'm not going to mess with this one. And then you can hit save. And it's going to give you that same error that we had in Zoom where it says this might take a while for it to work. And that's totally fine. All right. And keep in mind that I have other Zoom how-to videos that I have unlisted. So if there's something specific that you need, I'm either happy to make a how-to video. I'll probably share it with other folks. So I won't say who's requesting this because I just believe in group dynamics that chances are that if you have a concern, a question, or a need, then others would too. All right, so now let's go into iMovie. Now, iMovie is a app on Macintosh. If you are on a PC, chances are you have some type of app that'll do the same type of thing. And what I'm doing here, and let's start from the very, very beginning. So I'm going to go back to Projects, and I'm going to go to Create New, choose Movie. It's going to ask me where I want to save it. If you save it in your iMovie library, that's fine. Just maybe make a note of where it's going to live. Hit OK. And now here is your workspace. Now, I don't really go to import media. I actually open up whatever the video is in my downloads folder and just drag and drop it to this area. So I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop the video that I downloaded from Zoom. And here you can see this is a whole lot of information, 59, almost an hour's worth. And I want to be able to zoom in so that I can see this better. So I'm going to use the Command plus key to be able to zoom in and notice that little histogram on the front. I hadn't started yet. So guess what? I get to trim the front here, and I can definitely use this little tool down here to scroll all the way to the end. And then notice I stopped talking. So I'm going to trim that to the back, and I might even listen to it. See, I don't need that information in there. So let me go back to that end there. And I'm going to see what I like here. Okay, I'm just going to stop it there. So I'm going to click and drag this right side to that point. Now, I know that at some point you can see right in this area that I was working on my desktop. So there's transitions between my desktop and when I'm talking. So I know, let's go ahead and start from the front and work this way. Let me just scroll. All I'm doing is I'm holding the cursor over the window, and then I'm using my trackpad. You could use your mouse to just move over. And I'm visually looking for when I change from my face to my desktop. Now, this is hysterical. Watch this next part. Okay, watch. So I'm changing. Here is where I'm going to stop. I just stopped this by pushing the space key, and I'm going to hit Command B. And what that is that splice that. I know I'm about to go into this part, but watch this part because now I have to figure out when do I want to start the video again. So this is a long pause. We want to clip that out. For some reason, the camera didn't go to the right camera. Here we go. So keep a sense of humor at the same time. I'm trying to focus. Watch this. I literally dropped my camera. I just bumped it. Okay. I liked what I said there. There's a little bit of a pause. I say all right and so a lot. I'm trying to kick that habit. But then I say, let's see what's in my pencil bag. So I'm going to put that marker right there. Again, hit Command B on my keyboard. And when I click this, you'll notice there's a yellow line around it. It's because it's selecting that. That's 32 seconds of nobody wants to watch that. I know that it doesn't seem like a long time, but in video, it's forever. So I'm going to go ahead and hit delete. And then I'm going to go to the top of my screen here where it says transitions. And I like cross dissolve or cross blur. And what that does is it's blurring or dissolving from one scene to the next. So I'll just do dissolve. I'm going to click it. Notice it's got a yellow frame around it to indicate that it's been selected. And I'm going to drag it in between these two. And it's a 1 second dissolve. I leave those. That's fine. I'm going to put my cursor just inside of this box, and I'm going to hit the space bar to hit play. That wasn't bad. I did kind of make a funny face at the very end, so I can go back just a little bit. I'm just pulling this over. So that's how you're going to edit in the middle of a movie. I have my front part. I trimmed that already. I have my back part. I trimmed that already. And something else I like to do at the end is put either a contact me page or a logo that I have. And I'll show you, I'm going to go back into the projects and I'm going to pull it from another video. So what do I mean by that? Oh, look, I also put in a title. I'll show you how to do that in a second. So I'm going to click this as my ending. It's got this, you notice how it just kind of gets bigger there. That's telling people, go to letslettertogether.com the next time you want to see that. So I'm literally clicking this area. It's got that yellow box to show it's selected. I'm hitting Command C for copy, going back to projects, choosing the movie that I was just working on by double clicking, putting my cursor right here and clicking again and hit Command V. I also want to put that transition in there. So here's what that's going to look like. There it is. Very nice. Okay. I can also put music in here, but if I'm going to post this on YouTube, not a good idea. Let's go back to the beginning. And now at the top of my screen, I'm going to titles. And I like to use this gradient black or this soft bar black. So I'm just going to click that. It's selected, drag it above my video. 4 seconds isn't long enough. I usually like to pull this over and make it 8 to 10 seconds, 8 to 12, whatever, somewhere around there. Nobody's counting. Make sure it's selected. This time it has a white bar box around it. And then I go over to this side and I double click to highlight my name. And I put my name, that's my label. And then under description, here I might write, what the class is, or again, my website. Now, just a quick pro tip. Notice I'm using camel. It's called camel capitalization or camel caps. What that means is L, and T are all uppercase because it's easier for people to read and remember. So I'm coming back down here. I'm going to go ahead and put my cursor before the start, and I'm going to hit the spacebar key to play. Notice how that just went away. Doesn't that look pro? Now in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see this little icon here that looks like an up arrow inside of a box. And when I hover over it, it says share. And then it's going to ask me how to export the file. Now I'm going to choose export file. It's to the right of this. I don't know if you can see it. It looks like it was going outside of my screen. And I don't know if you can see the pop-up screen, but there's a pop-up screen here. You're just going to follow this. You're going to change the title, and you're going to decide, actually, I would leave all of the settings. If you don't have these settings, 1080p, quality high, and compress faster. Right now it says it's 9 gigabytes. That's huge. You're probably going to want to compress this once you're done. You certainly could say better quality, but that rate might go up. If not, keep it the same. Quality, if we want to go to best ProRes, look at that, 55 gigabytes. That's crazy. You're probably going to watch this online, so it doesn't need to be that high. It could literally be at medium and faster, so it can do some of that compression for you. It's at 6.5 gigabytes at this point. I'm going to hit next. Okay, I'm going to hit next, the title, and then I'm going to tell her where I want to save it. Again, you can change the title here if you forget in the previous video, and then click save. And you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little circle here, and it'll begin to fill up just like a clock. That's the show activity. It's going to show you how far it's gotten. There you go. It looks like a little piece of a pie, and that's going to go around. Don't shut off iMovie at all. Don't go anywhere else. Just you can click away from it, but you don't want to go back to your projects. Just go ahead and leave it on this video. Now, once you've done this, you can upload it to Dropbox, Google, or Vimeo, or YouTube, or even send it WeTransfer. And I have how-to videos on how to do all of that. So let me know if you'd like those. Also, if you find that your operating system, the speed of your computer, the speed of your internet is really crunching on a 6 gigabyte file, meaning if it takes more than a half an hour for it to upload, then you probably need to make the file smaller. And one way to do that for free is to use an app called Handbrake. Let me show you what that looks like. It is programmed for PCs and Macs. And once you have it downloaded, you're going to click open source. And that open source, you're going to navigate to where you would like, wherever your video is. I'm just going to choose this video. It'll take a few minutes for it to load. And I want you to look at these settings. So I am going to click web optimized because that's going to help compress it a little bit more. Check out all of these other settings. Hit the pause button if you need to. Then when you get to dimensions where it says cropping automatic, put none. Otherwise, it might crop the sides or the top in a really weird way, and you don't want that. And then down here in your save as, you might want to change your file name so you can highlight it and rename it there. And it depends on what the default is. I have it set to my desktop, but you can click browse and choose where you want to save it. Then you go ahead and click start. And what happens at the bottom, it tells you the activity, how far is it taking. So it's only going to take one pass to do this. It's going to tell you what's the percentage that it's operating, and the ETA is how long it's going to take. And this might fluctuate, and you'll see that it's taking 20 minutes. That's really good. Okay. Once that's finished, it's going to save where you're told it to save, and then you can upload it from there. So I hope you have found this helpful. If you have any questions, please reach out to me anytime. I'm going to put my contact information below, and I look forward to tech hosting or consulting or supporting you in any way that I can.